All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Rio Rancho Public Schools parents and staff, community members, thank you for joining us. This is our second parent university in relation to our reentry plans for the 2020-21 school year. Tonight, the topic that we're presenting is on the 100% virtual option. And so we have a presentation that we will be showing you tonight. Before we get to that, I want to go over a little bit about how this works. If you weren't able to join us last week, we have scheduled 1 hour for the presentation and then 30 minutes for questions following the presentation. And we really want to get to as many questions as we can. So along those lines, if our presenters are still presenting, I'm going to give them a 10-minute warning when we're coming up on the hour to make sure that we have time to answer as many questions as we can. Here's how you can submit your questions if you're interested. We have opened up the comment section on YouTube, and so we ask that you put your questions into that section. Please do not use this space for discussion or for comments. We're going to be removing those to make sure that we're able to capture the questions as they come in. Also, we ask that you refrain from putting anything there inappropriate. We'll also remove that. Please keep your questions to the topic being presented. I know there's other questions in regards to other portions of the plan. We've scheduled other parent universities to try and address those questions. In addition, we've set up an email address, RRPS reentry plans at rrps.net. Feel free to send those questions, but we won't answer any questions that aren't topically relevant this evening. And then also you'll notice when we get to the questions portion that some of the questions may be out of order. We really want to get to the questions that weren't addressed during the presentation first, prior to other questions that were maybe addressed during the presentation. So with that, we are ready to get going for this evening's presentation. And I would like to start out by welcoming Luana Coleman. She is our Executive Director of Secondary C&I, and I'm going to turn it over to Luana. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to have you here with us tonight. Some of you maybe for the second time, and some of you for the first time. We are excited tonight to share with you the options that are being developed around 100% virtual for K-5 and 100% virtual for the secondary group. We know that you are faced with what may seem like untenable decisions and choices of which there is no good or right choice. We know that, and many of us are in the same position with families and children and situations of our own. So I want to start with that and want you to know that we're in this all together, and we're working to provide the best options we can for our families and children here in Rio Rancho. The next slide, please. Our agenda tonight, I'll go over quickly some of the guiding principles and the work that has brought us to this point, and then turn it over to my colleague, Joy Morales, who is the Executive Director of Elementary C&I, and for secondary, Heidi Kenworthy from Rio Rancho Cyber Academy will talk about the secondary option. And then, of course, we'll all be taking your questions. So next slide. When we began this work earlier this summer, or well, actually in May, we knew that there were a few things that we really wanted to focus on and to guarantee to our families and to our community, our students, our staff, regarding the work that we were doing and what we were trying to come up with. So we wanted to have a common language. We wanted common expectations. We wanted to really make sure that we were communicating how each option would be structured. And I'll give you as much information as possible in order for you to be able to make the best decision for your child, children, and families. We also knew that, like everything else we try to do, that we wanted to use the best researched, best practices, the best strategies, the best programs, and we think we've come up with that very thing that will help us meet the needs of children and families and teachers as well. Next slide. We also wanted to make sure that we're providing staff with the best guidance and the best district curriculum, as well as the best professional learning to guide their planning for remote learning. And as you know, we are in a state of flux. Every day it seems like there's new direction, and every day we get more information, different information. And as Dr. Cleveland has said many times, the virus is in control. So we're doing the very best we can to plan and be able to pivot. That seems to be our newest and favorite word as we think about preparing for school this year. And in doing so, we wanted to also make sure we had the best digital tools. We're a district that has been working on our Future Ready plan for the last 5 years. We are Chromebook ready. We are IT ready. We are professional learning ready to provide the resources to everyone to ensure that we can pull this off in a way that meets the needs, continues student growth, and really makes an effective learning situation, even in light of where we are. I think we're all confident that we can do that we can provide a learning experience for our children that will be enriching. And we learned so much from this last spring when we had to turn to what we're calling emergency remote teaching from a Friday to a Monday, basically, and take what we learned this spring and put it to good use as we improve upon and build out these two options for our district. Next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Joy now, who's going to talk more about what the K-5 virtual will look like. Thanks, Joy.
Thank you, Luana. So as Ms. Coleman stated already, we've done a lot of work around how to serve our families and how to best support you guys during this time when there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear around having children in a school building and in contact with other kids in close proximity. So one of the options that we have is the 100% virtual option. Next slide. We've done a lot of work around vetting our materials, our instructional materials. And during this process, what we have decided is that for our virtual model, we feel strongly that these are the best materials to support the learning of your student, which means that they're grounded in research, they're standards aligned, they maintain the rigor of the standards, and our teachers have done a lot of work with these materials. So they're trained, they're familiar, they know all the nuances and all the details, and are really prepared to be able to use these instructional materials to support your child through this remote learning process. Next slide. So this is just a snapshot of some of our instructional materials. These are materials that will be used with our hybrid model as well. We felt it very important to ensure that there was an alignment between our hybrid and our families that were choosing 100% virtual model of instruction. So you will see that we have our instructional materials that many of you are already familiar with. For our math, we're going to be using Eureka, also have Zern Math. We will be using ReadyGen. We have iStation for some online components, as well as some of our district developed foundational skills lessons that teachers will be using through some direct instruction. And our science ebook for kiddos at home, and then of course those direct instructional materials through our Google Meets. Next slide. So a lot of parents have been asking, what materials will my child receive if we choose this model? Our district is in a place where we will be passing out Chromebooks for every single student, K-12. With that, we are asking that parents utilize the Chromebooks that we will be providing families. And part of that reason is because we will have our district approved applications already programmed, and because our IT department will be able to maintain those programs for us. You will also receive your Eureka student workbooks, and the ReadyGen reading and writing journals will go home. And of course, you get access to all of our online resources. Next slide. So there are 3 components to a 100% virtual model of instruction. We're going to look at the teacher role, the student role, and of course, the parent role. So for the virtual teacher, really, these are our three big ideas. Of course, communication is vital. We also have our direct instruction, which will take place through Google Meets. Assignments will be posted on Google Classroom. And then our teachers are responsible for making sure that they are documenting evidence of learning. So for communication, that means that we will be posting a week at a glance every Monday for our families to be able to plan their weeks around. We will also have live learning times for your child to get on and actually engage with the teacher and engage with their classmates. We will also be communicating with our parents and our guardians through email. We will communicate with our students through Google Classroom and those live meets. And we will also have office hours. That way you can reach out during a set time frame and know that you'll be able to make contact with the teacher. For instruction, the teacher is responsible for all the lesson planning. That is not something that is on the parent's shoulders. And the lessons are developed around our scope and sequence with our standards. We will also have a list of supplies that you might need for each lesson so that you can ensure that your child is prepared and ready to go. And then, of course, all of those live face-to-face meetings that we're going to offer. That way your child really makes some strong connections. Next slide. So for the child, the virtual student, it's just really important that your student is engaging with their teacher, participating daily, and working on completing those assignments. So really, what does that look like? What's the expectation? Well, it's logging in and participating in those virtual lessons on a daily basis. It's making sure they have workspace, ensuring that they have a schedule to follow, they have all of their supplies in front of them and ready to go. We're also asking that they come ready for school. So building that typical schedule around a school day. They're going to have breakfast. They're going to get ready for school and be prepared. And they're going to have all their supplies ready. So those are a few of the student responsibilities. We are asking that students participate 5 days a week. Participation and attendance will be taken during this time. Next slide. The only way we can be successful in such a model as a 100% virtual model is if we have strong support from our families. So that means that the parent or guardian becomes what's considered a learning coach. A learning coach is somebody at home who really helps to guide and support their child throughout the day during this learning process. Next slide. So what does that mean if you're a learning coach? What are some examples? First of all, we're asking that you commit to the first trimester for elementary. The reason is because it takes time for your child to get comfortable in this learning environment. It takes time to figure out the schedule and all of the little details to make it successful. The other thing is that it is school as usual. We are back in school. That means we're attending school every day, Monday through Friday. A typical school day, your child would be on campus approximately 7 hours a day. They would have lunch, related arts, they would have breaks, they would have recess. So when we break down the instructional component, it's about 5 to 6 hours of support. That does not mean your child is on the computer for 5 to 6 hours, but it's a combination of live meetings with the teacher, recorded lessons, online activities, and offline activities as well. And this amount of time is really dependent on the age of the child. The younger the child, we wouldn't expect a kindergartner to be on the computer or participating for 6 hours. So it's dependent on the age of the child. It depends on their independence level, and there's lots of factors. And then, of course, we ask that you assist in the learning requirements, whether that be making sure your child gets on those live lessons, or the recorded lessons, making sure they're completing their work and turning that work in on time. Next slide. So these are just some common expectations for our K-5 100% virtual model. Again, I'm going to say it. This is school. It's not going to look the same. but we have the same expectations. We will be taking attendance. We do expect your child to engage 5 days a week. There will be assessment opportunities, and we really want to build relationships, very strong relationships with you and your child. Again, we're going to have that week at a glance because we know that in order to have a schedule and be prepared, you need to know what the work week is going to look like. So that will be provided to you for the upcoming week. And remember, every day is an in-person day in this virtual model, and attendance will be taken. Thank you.
Hello, it is now my part. I welcome you all, and it's an honor to be here just to share to you what the 100% virtual learning can look like, snapshots into that world for grades 6 through 12. So I come to this with about 15 years of experience at Cyber Academy, where we have been using Edgenuity as the main platform there. And across all 50 of our brother and sister states, they are using Edgenuity as well. And prior to our COVID pandemic, it was used to the point that they had a population of about 4 million students in it. I would assume it's been in excess of that up to now. But we've really looked at this program. We know that it has numerous awards, and we chose it to be the main platform that we use for our 612, for our Rio Rancho Public Schools students, mainly because it gives us a chance to leverage technology, and it has some wonderful tools. It's like that one-stop shop, but it allows the student to be engaged, but the critical thing is still the teacher is important and the student still has to perform. So let me go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And with this slide, it's a quick snapshot of just one more piece of evidence comparing Rio Rancho Cyber Academy across the grade with some most recent standardized test scores compared to our district. Now, our district's phenomenal. We know that. And yes, I am kind of pointing out in blue that cyber overdid the district just a little bit. But guys, it's not because always of the Edgenuity program, and it's not because of we have amazing students at cyber. And if anyone's from cyber listening to this, we really do. But we choose students, or students that choose cyber tend to go there for diverse needs. There's a wide range of students, so it's substantial. But if you can look at this, this is just one more data point for us to validate why we chose this platform to support the 100% virtual at home. One other thing I want to point out with this is this last year at Cyber, there were 28 graduates in the class of 2020. And the average ACT score was a 23, and that's really high. But I also want to point out in that class, we had the highest GPA we've ever had, but we've also had the lowest GPA we've ever had while still meeting the graduation requirements, which then speaks volumes to the diversity of what kind of student it is. But the attitude and the willingness was what was key. If you were to talk to those 28 seniors, they would all, beyond any shadow of a doubt, say that they had to work extremely hard, and it was their effort united with reaching out to a teacher is what made them successful. So next slide, please. With this, we want to point out that the Edgenuity program is supported with like NCAA, Aurora Institute, used to be known as INACOL, and it has credit bearing to it. So this was just a quick little reminder that that Edgenuity nationwide in all 50 states and through different ed tech and technology endorsements and curriculum advances like Ed Week and stuff have definitely been honored. So let's continue, please. Oh, sorry. Now the little slides show up. Go ahead. Keep hitting. There we go, and College Board certified. All right, this next slide that we're on just gives a snapshot of what the login would look when a student is getting ready to log in to the Edgenuity platform. And I have a big bullet point right there is that it's accessible anytime and anywhere. We all have heard that online learning is amazing because students can have access to the World Wide Web, which is 24/7. And yes, that is the case. They can log in and the curriculum is there, but we also know, just as Joy and Luana have pointed out, my colleagues before me, that this is still school. It still requires the student to log in and to work, but this platform is where the students will access all 7 of their classes. In that, when they click on English 9, it will then come up and tell them what to do day by day. They can follow that, or they can be a little bit of advanced learners, almost like what college and career readiness prepares them to do, where they would have the freedom to choose to work extra on certain days on certain subjects. But we do know that one of the most important things to do is to not procrastinate. And I'll touch on that again here in a minute because it is essential. But all in that platform is how they reach out to teachers, how they can communicate, how they get feedback, how they take assessments. And it's all very routine, a very consistent feel. So there's not any uncertainty of if the student wakes up and goes, what am I supposed to do today? It is there for them and they get to see it. And then we're going to tie it with a highly qualified Rio Rancho Public School teacher to unite with it. And then you guys, the parents, the families at home are going to also be there with us. And that's how this is going to work. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And with this, common expectations for a virtual learner is the fact that we do want to make sure that, like we said, this is school. It's nothing different. The attendance is there, the participation is there, the assessments, the engagement piece, all of that is built in. It may look different inside Edgenuity, but it's all built in. They've used what we know to be successful in the brick and mortar face-to-face classes. They've used those and done their best to mimic it in an online learning environment. And then the teachers have a lot of control of how to manage the behavior and how to look at assessments, to look at that behavior and be able to intervene and reach the students' needs. It also is laid out in the entire thing semester at a time. So that can be kind of daunting for a student when you log in and you usually don't see the whole course syllabus, or if you do, you don't grasp the whole huge mountain that you have to climb. It's there, but the program and the teachers and the support is also there to be able to show what you do day by day in order to achieve those goals. That's also available for parents. The teachers will see the same thing. All the feedback is immediate. If you take an assessment, you know exactly what your score is. And then we can have things built in and they'll be trained of what to do if they don't achieve what they're supposed to do. And the teacher can intervene. Attendance is definitely there. It's right. And then we will also be documenting that on PowerSchool. So let's move on. I made a slide about like the mindset, because since I've been a part of online learning at Cyber and some other schools previously, it almost takes, we've used the term out of the box type of thinking, and it's a different mindset, whether it's a growth mindset, virtual mindset, but it's really a mindset of an independent virtual student. And if you go to New Mexico PED, they came across and came out with some guidelines for us as a district to consider. And those are things that we had built in also, but they're very good and standard. And the first one was that we really need someone to be self-motivated. As a parent, if you're considering this, and as a student, if you're looking at this, you really need to take a second and go, can I be motivated, or am I willing to be motivated? I need you as the administrator of the Edgenuity program behind the scene, and so does your teachers, and so does your family, to be motivated. Learning in a virtual world is not the same. We know that. Students are going to have to take a lot of responsibility for their own learning, and that means that you need to stay organized and motivated to stay on task to the requirements that are outlined in the program each and every day. Successful students that we've had at Cyber and at Rio, because they have been using Edgenuity at other places across the district, they have learned to be empowered to choose what they do and when they do it and how much time to devote to it. But they also know that they can get hooked by that nasty little human tendency called procrastination. And so we have to watch out for that. Then we also know that sometimes we can have learners that are a little bit shy or timid and not willing to reach out to teachers. So we have to encourage that students know the value of asking for help, not only in the virtual setting, but in any setting. And that they need to take ownership of their own learning. Teachers are there and willing to help and want the opportunity to engage in helping students reach those little aha or light bulb moments. And in fact, let me let you in on a little secret. Teachers really like it when students reach out for help, because that's when they get to work and engage with the student and in the learning process. So also with this, in the virtual setting like Edgenuity, 6 through 12 grade students, a lot of communication is important. So be willing to communicate, not only verbally, but through email. There's a built-in email inside Edgenuity that's safe and secure, and be able to communicate in such a way that you don't just say, I need help. Be specific with it. And that way you're communicating on grade level, you're communicating properly as expected that you would in the traditional classroom. Then there's fourth one, there's to meet deadlines set by the teachers and the program. So a teacher may have additional built-in meetings and requirements. So it is a blending of, in a certain degree, of how the teacher does it and Edgenuity. And so all of that encased is what the student needs to make sure that they're working with towards 100% completion of the course by the end of the semester. And that last one there is prioritize and follow up. Working at home is not easy. When you go to a physical building and a teacher directs you or the bell rings and you go to different places, it's pretty easy to know where you're supposed to go. If you're sitting at home like we're all doing right now, it may be harder. And so we call upon students to prioritize. And I can almost hear one of our math teachers at Cyber saying, do the courses that you like the least first, because then everybody will do math first, is what she says. But then you're always doing the courses that are the greatest priority, the ones that you're behind in, you do those first. And that would be a tendency across the board for any of us, is that we make sure we prioritize our responsibilities daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then semesterly. If we're doing that, then that goal of 100% everything be accomplished by the end of semester can take place. So I have pointed out there that students that cannot grasp these, their chance of being successful are dramatically decreased. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. So I've kind of touched on this with the mindset, but let's just break it down. We need students in this online, the virtual 6-12 learning to do this for a semester. If you're going to start something, we want us to finish it. Learning in Edgenuity is not easy. We need that commitment. So please, if you're going to do it, know that you're going to commit for a semester. We probably can say if you want to do the whole year, you're welcome to that. But let's look at this first semester. Daily participation in that is going to be at least 5 to 7 hours. That can change a little bit depending on the learner. If I was an Algebra 2 learner, I may struggle a little bit, and what may take someone else 5 hours may take me 10 hours to learn. So it kind of depends on the individual, so be aware of that. Of course, working independently on a device with internet accessibility, And it's standard that we set mastery at 70%. We set the bar high. It doesn't mean that someone will not move on with the typical 60% that we keep, but we try to set the bar high and promote in that learning to that higher level. And of course, then when teachers set meetings, the students need to attend them. And again, the 100% completion by the end of the semester. We can go on to the next slide, please. This is something that's inside Edgenuity when you're able to go. Some of you may have gone and looked at some of the links that we put on our website, and it will show you a little 7-minute video of what Edgenuity, the student experience, is like. And in all honesty, I wanted to show that video tonight, but sometimes, you know, with technology, videos may not exactly show very well through a presentation. So I encourage you to go to just www.edgenuity.com and look at some of their videos. It's called the Student Success or Student Experience, but at the end of it, it shows these tips for success. So I just wanted to put them out here. I'm sure by now you've read over them. What I want to make sure and point out that note-taking is essential and following everything along. And parents, here's a little trick. You can trust your students, but verify. We're going to give you the tips of how to verify. And if we'll go to the next slide, this is where we will have a parent portal. You'll get a login, and it's through your email address. You'll be able to log in and be able to see the student progress report and the attendance. The next slide gives a quick little look. Go ahead to the next slide, sorry. The next slide gives a quick little look of what that progress may look like. I chose one in red because we don't want progress in red. We want blue and green, showing that they're either on track or ahead, but it gives a quick view on this of the whole picture. You'll always be able to see how many assignments are done, how many total, how many quizzes, a lab, which is an example of here, a test, a final exam, anything like that. So all 7 classes would have something similar to this. And in the next slide is what we call like the session log or the attendance log. And parents, you'll get to see this by logging in. If you're at work and your 10th grade daughter is at home and you want to see, are they really working on math? You know, it's Monday morning. You heard Miss Heidi say that math, we better do it, make it a priority. Are they logging in and working with math? It's immediate. So you'll get to see exactly the time. You'll get to see if it's idle time, how many activities are done, and through additional training, you'll definitely will be able to make this picture look a lot clearer. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what the information is. So on the next slide, here again, we want to encourage that as a parent at home supporting the virtual learning. K5, Miss Joy definitely expressed how that is important of having a learning coach. And I am an advocate of that. We are a team here with parents and students. And so 612 would also have these parent expectations of having a learning coach at home. And so that would include, you know, what is the time or the student's time being done right? Are the expectations being achieved? And are you encouraging them? And there's nothing wrong on a daily basis. Ask them, what did you learn? You know, ask them, what did you accomplish today? Have them log in and show you their progress report. Even though you can see it on your side too, have them talk to you about it. Ask them, what did you find challenging? Okay, you were stuck on math. Have you reached out to your teachers? What are you doing? Help them problem solve and make those engaging connections. And you will always have the right as a parent to reach out to the teacher as well. And then celebrate their successes. We want to have that to take place, whether it's the virtual world or the hybrid world. So please, we definitely enjoy that process. And on the next slide is a quick look, because I know we all want to have our different roles. I did this as a way, if this is the expectations of a teacher, we call it the 5 M's. And there's a lot of embedded stuff in what manage means and monitor and motivate, mentor and model. Of course, you guys can kind of use some common sense. You're managing the program with them. You're monitoring their progress. You're motivating them to do the best. You're mentoring them to turn their failures into successes, and you're helping them with college and career readiness. You're helping them to use the best of the program to bring out the best in themselves. And as a teacher, you're also modeling 21st century skills of how best to use the program, how best to communicate, how best to be prepared for the real world. That is our goal, to make them a lifelong learner and successful. So diving into the next slide, I want to address the courses that are in Edgenuity. They're on our website. I redid them. If you looked at them a couple of days ago, I added like coding and a pre-AP English 9 and 10. I've done a little bit just because in Edgenuity, we do have the ability to customize and create courses. If time was not of the problem, we probably could do a lot more, but I thank Cyber Academy and the teachers for doing a phenomenal job of giving us almost a turnkey solution, uniting with some amazing Rio Rancho Public Schools teachers to make hopefully a win-win situation. But it's not perfect, okay? Look at those. One thing that we need to know is that the schedule that you're going to see may not be exactly the same schedule that the students had and made choices with their pre-registration this last spring. It may, and for those it will be, we can celebrate that. But for those that don't, there may be some that it just doesn't work out. What our goal is, by working as a team with the school, the counselors, the schedulers, is when something doesn't match, we're going to look at the students' graduation requirements and say that they're missing a tech credit and nothing else works, then we're going to do what's right for the student as best as we possibly can and make them be assigned classes that fulfill their graduation requirement and achieve their goals from there. So just know you're welcome to look at that, but know that there may not be some exact apples to apples alignment with the courses. And then let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This is just a reminder of please go to our website with the 100% virtual option information. I know a number of you have. I know a number of us on this panel tonight have answered emails to the best of our ability. And if there's some in our inboxes that we have not answered yet, I do apologize. And with that, we will go ahead, and I thank you for your time. But Beth, I believe we can go ahead and do the question and answers opportunity. And again, I thank you for allowing me to present and stress the fact that Edgenuity is good, but guys, it's hard. So I just cannot say enough about that. So thank you again.
Thank you, Lawana and Heidi and Joy. I want to just thank you guys for your presentation. We want to move on to our questions now. And so I would like to introduce our panel to all our viewers out there. You met Heidi Kenworthy from Cyber Academy, Joy Morales. She is our elementary executive director of curriculum and instruction. Lawana Coleman is our secondary executive director of curriculum and instruction. Janice Chenault is our elementary school improvement officer. Renee Saucedo is our secondary school improvement officer. And Kurt Schmidt is our executive director of fine arts. And so that is our panel this evening, and we are going to go ahead and get to questions. As a reminder, these questions may be out of order. We really are going to try and hit the questions that weren't addressed in the presentation first, and then we are going to move through those as quickly as possible to get in as many questions as we can this evening. So the first question that I have this evening is, will Montessori students keep their spot if they choose virtual?
I can go ahead and take this one. Yes, they will. So even though virtual, we do not have the Montessori option for the 100% online virtual course, those students will still have their spots when they return to their campuses.
Thank you. Will incoming third graders who were recommended for gifted testing still be tested if they are 100% virtual?
I believe so. Last night we did have the board presentation around our special services, and one of the things that was shared is that our students will still receive their services, and we will still be looking at the testing moving forward for those students who have been identified for testing. When you will be contacted and what that will look like is still to be determined, but it is still in the works, and it is definitely something we're hoping to keep in place for you.
Thank you, Joy. The next question, how will reading intervention and direct support for IEPs be handled?
Do you want me to answer that, Joy, or do you have it?
No, I'm going to let you take one.
So reading intervention is different than special services. So special services, the presentation was last night. The services will be aligned with their IEP. And if there's any changes for the IEP, if students decide to go virtual, then that will be determined in an IEP meeting based on that student's needs. And so those were required to provide the services, they will, but they'll be provided virtually. Intervention will be a school-based decision, what that looks like. The priority students would be the students who were receiving intervention last year and incoming students who have been screened. One of the directives that we've received from the PED is that every child has to be screened coming into the school year to see where they are. And so we have some tools to do that, and we'll be doing that. And through that process, we can identify students who may need additional support.
Thank you, Jana. The next question, if we choose the 100% virtual option, will this be the case for the entire year? If the governor lifts restrictions, will students be required to attend back in person?
So I can take that one. If you choose the virtual option and we go back to a traditional calendar by some chance, then we would hope that you stay with the virtual option at least for secondary through the semester and for elementary through the trimester. Shake your heads at me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's correct. And should you choose to do it through the full year, you're more than welcome to do it that full year. 100% virtual, even though we're back hybrid or traditional.
Thank you, Renee. Our next question, will we receive an email notifying us how to access and set up an Edgenuity account? And who will the teacher be for our children?
I will definitely take that one. It is our goal that there will be a seamless, like single sign-on option where a student would do it through how they log into the computers with their Google information that they're already aware of. And then it would just click right into Edgenuity and their classes would be there. So it'd be tied to that. As far as our teachers know, that is something we're still in the process of, because honestly, we don't know exactly how many, the population that we're dealing with. The registration is still taking place. Dr. Cleveland just sent out an email, which many of you may have already had, or you're in the process of reading it. And it in there stated to make sure that we're really encouraged the numbers to be done by Friday. So if you want to register for this, please do it the sooner the better, because then we have the numbers to be able to work with. And that way we can start strategically doing our job behind the scenes so that we can be ready for a plug and play school on August 7th.
Thank you, Heidi.
I'm going to jump in there. Yeah, thank you. Also, it will be Rio Rancho Public School teachers. So teachers that are already with us. And as we said last week, you may notice that for Edgenuity particularly, although I think this is true for the elementary as well, students may be from various schools. So you may have a teacher that has students from 3 different schools or 2 different schools if it's the high school, but they are Rio Rancho school teachers.
Thank you, LJ. Our next question, will students be able to work ahead? So maybe they spend extra time on work one day, but skip logging in one day.
I'll take that for the 612. My son attended Cyber Academy, his 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and he was a prime example. And the fact he loves video games, okay? He's now a Marine, he's a data Marine, he's a computer geek. But he had figured out if he worked really, really hard Monday through Thursday and got everything done, he then didn't have homework on Saturday and Sunday, but he could take Friday off. So he used that as the inspiration motivating thing to get everything done. Now, when that didn't work, he had to work Friday and he had to work Saturday, and sometimes he had to work Sunday. So to answer that question, they can definitely work ahead and get as much done as they want to in all subjects. We just don't want students falling behind and getting behind.
And for elementary, Joy?
I would say yes. Based on that week at a glance, there are going to be some offline activities and some online activities that do not require teacher support. And so in those activities, in those situations, absolutely, the student can work at their own pace. They can move ahead. Same kind of thing, though. We don't want them to fall behind, because then we work on this, constantly in this catch-up phase, which causes anxiety and frustration. And sometimes when you don't have that teacher right there to help work through that and navigate how to combine things or to move along a little faster, it can really cause some frustration for our younger students. So yes, absolutely, they can work ahead. They can turn things in ahead of time as well. We just don't want to see them fall behind.
Thank you. Our next question, and this one Renee kind of addressed, but we'll address it again. Will we have the option to choose fully remote virtual if we start the year hybrid but no longer feel it's safe?
Once this deadline of Friday passes, you are where you are. So you've either chosen 100% virtual or hybrid. Should the state go into, as far as our plans are concerned, we have a green, yellow, and red, where green is fully traditional, yellow is hybrid, and red would be at home. We might find the hybrid students going back to a virtual setting. But once you've made this choice, you are in that track for the rest of the semester. And that's elementary and secondary.
Great. Thank you. Next question. What will pre-K look like?
Pre-K will have similar to what they had in the spring, and that what teachers got on and they met with students and students got online with them. All of the preschoolers will have a Chromebook, so we'll have that for them. They are expected to be on, the teachers will make those schedules. Obviously, when you're talking about 3 and 4-year-olds, they can't be on the computer for an extended period of time, but teachers will check in with them every day and have given them a lot of activities to do at home, writing and reading, and then that is shared in the Google Classroom with the teacher. Anything regarding special services for Shining Stars will be delivered virtually as well if parents choose the 100% option.
Great, thank you. Next question, can we use our own computers instead of the Chromebooks?
I can take that one. So we'll be giving out Chromebooks to all of our students, and we're asking that students and families use the district Chromebooks. I think Joy mentioned that earlier. A couple of reasons for that. All of our applications and our programs will be on those Chromebooks, and we'll have an IT. This will be a new option, is that we'll have an IT help desk that will be manned or womaned by a live person, and that we can help fix and troubleshoot much easier if it's Chromebooks across the board that are district Chromebooks. It gets really iffy when they get calls or need help from random kinds of laptops or tablets or computers or whatever. So we'll be asking everyone to use the district Chromebooks.
Thank you. All right, our next question. How will children's behavior be managed during the Google Meet face-to-face times?
I'll take that one, actually, from a secondary perspective. This summer, we hosted the summer AYD program for incoming 6th graders and incoming 9th graders, and we had about 200 students that participated in a fully virtual program for 4 weeks. And one of the most important things that the teachers did was to set those expectations really quickly and really solidly about the etiquette of Google Meets and the etiquette of behavior. And it only took one time for someone to write something snarky in the chat or to do something that he shouldn't have done when a parent gets a phone call and there's a daily reminder that they popped up about here's how we act on Google Meet. And we've got a lot of tools and strategies, and we'll work with kids that first week of school and really establishing the expectations for behavior and the etiquette and the mindset that it takes to work in a virtual world.
Thank you, LJ. All right, our next question. When will elementary kids learn who their online teacher will be and the time of day that they will be logging on for class?
Teachers, when teachers come back, they'll have their schedule just as if the regular year was starting. So it'll be similar to any other year where that week when teachers come back, they start contacting parents and letting them know that they're your child's teacher. One of the questions that was brought up is, will there be a face-to-face exchange with Chromebooks? And we're still trying to figure out if that's possible with elementary school with safety precautions in place. We really have to wait and see what the health order is and if sites can make that work. We don't know if that meet to teacher will be in person or if it will have to be, you know, kind of a drive-by and they get to see their teacher when they get their Chromebook, but we're still talking about that. And we will know more about who the online teachers are when we have an account of exactly how many students we're going to have doing online.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there live and recorded sessions for Edgenuity?
Beth, I forgot to answer the part about when they'll be online for elementary. Should I do that? Sorry, I knew there were 2 parts. Teachers will schedule those with probably in the morning. We don't have specific times, but school starts at 9. Most of the classes will be scheduled in the morning so that the afternoon can be used to support students if they have questions and office hours. But those will be determined by classroom teachers. And they'll be recorded if parents happen to miss and students need the information.
Thank you.
And to address the question is if there's recorded sessions in Edgenuity. Edgenuity is basically set up to be asynchronous, so everything is pre-recorded. However, it can be supplemented and enhanced by Rio Rancho Public School teachers that may go ahead and do like Google Meet recordings. Some of them may do their own recordings and put it out, or they may choose to do live for some different critical concepts, or if they realize a group of students need more understanding. So that kind of adaptability is definitely at the resources that teachers can do. So that would make it not asynchronous, but it'd be synchronous at that point.
Thank you. Next question. Can students who are enrolled in the 100% virtual still participate in extracurricular, and how will they connect with their clubs such as NHS?
As far as extracurricular clubs, I believe that they'll still be able to participate in those. You know, it will be a matter of, I think that if they're not already in the club, then we'll just have to make sure that they have contact. You know, there's always a list of sponsors on the webpage, or if you call the school, they'll be able to match you up with the sponsors. If for some reason we don't have the name of the student that wants to participate, there will always be a way for you to contact that person.
And I believe they still get to participate in athletics. Is that correct, Renee?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you have anything you wanted to add, Kurt?
Yes, just for the 100% online option, counselors and schedulers are going to make every effort to find the appropriate elective that satisfies students' needs and graduation requirements.
Thank you. All right, next question. Is there an option to redo a test if they didn't get a good score?
I'll take that for the Edgenuity 612 platform. Normal across the district, we've had a protocol in place for numerous years, and we're going to continue it, is that normal students have 2 attempts. So the first attempt of the 10 questions, say that, you know, I'm in Algebra 2 and I get a 40. Best practice is then I review that quiz. I don't get to see the answers of the 6 that I missed, but I know the 4 that I did right. More than likely, as a learner, I go back and review different things. I may reach out to the teacher when I finally realize, no, I don't understand something. And then I go back and take the test again. It will not be the same exact 10 questions again, but it's the same concepts, the same idea. So then you take the test again. If you get a 70 or higher, then you move on. If you do not, then you stop, you're stalled, and then the student requirement, which they'll be trained, has to be to reach out to the teacher, and that's when the teacher will intervene. Then on the flip side, say you get an 80 the first time, okay? You get an 80 the first time, then you still have 1 more attempt. So that students have found that if they do that same process of reviewing, turn their failures into successes, and relearn, even reach out to a teacher, anything like that, they can go back and take it again. There's a good chance that they can get a 90 or 100. The highest of all attempt scores will be put in the grade book.
Joy, did you have anything for elementary, or Jana?
You know, for elementary, the assessment piece and the grading piece is very fluid, and we're really looking at how did they, you know, where are they at in a set of standards, at meeting that standard. It's not quite the traditional ABC with percentage points. We really look at, you know, are they proficient? Are they getting close to proficiency? So the grading looks a little bit different. Yes, we still believe in multiple opportunities. Teachers take in very different factors into place when it comes to assessment for our young children. And so they do get multiple opportunities. Jana, do you want to add to that at all?
I would say the online platforms that we're using, iStation, Zern, Eureka, are going to give teachers good feedback about how students are doing. And so in elementary, we typically use that feedback to determine what we're going to do next to support kids, either enrich or provide support. So that's really how we see assessments in elementary school, is that continuous learning model.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Are students able to test out?
Within the Edgenuity platform, we would not be doing that. There is those built-in options to the program, so maybe that's why people are, you know, those questions would be coming out. We normally do not do that except for credit recovery. And if a student is continuing with a credit recovery need, then that would be addressed differently with more of a prescriptive or pre-test testing options. So we'd be consistent with our standard protocol of how we deal with stuff.
Thank you. Okay, here's the next question. What about the change made yesterday that stated we are going virtual from August 7th until after Labor Day? Does that mean we need to register for virtual classes?
No,
No.
it does not. You're taking this opportunity to choose either virtual for the rest of the semester or hybrid. And it's we're going to hybrid students for that first month will be virtual, but then we'll move into hybrid. The virtual students on Edgenuity will stay virtual on Edgenuity.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between those, Renee or Luana, the hybrid students, how they will be participating virtual versus the virtual students?
Sure. It's like if I feel like I'm on Jeopardy, am I fast enough to click that button? So what we want to do is make that transition between starting out virtual and then moving to hybrid as seamless as possible. And so the students that are on the hybrid program model will move to start virtually, but they will maintain that same sort of schedule. So if they are in the A group on Monday and Tuesday, they'll interact with their teachers in Google Meets. So there'll be live interaction just virtually. And the same thing would happen with the B group on Thursday and Friday, with the same expectation of the 3 days of lessons that are done independently. So the only difference would be how that interaction on those Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday days is taking place. And one would be through Google Meets and the other one will be live. And that's true for the elementary hybrid model as well.
Thank you.
Should we I might be wrong on this, but those Google Meet interactions will be during the regularly scheduled class times.
Yes, so the student will follow their school day. Just because they're starting virtually doesn't mean they get to sleep in. They'll have first period at 7:20 or whatever first period is for the high school. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, next question. If the student chooses 100% virtual, will they still graduate from the school that they are enrolled with based on boundaries with the students that are enrolled in the hybrid model?
That is a big yes. So they'll still belong to their school. They'll still be, as far as they're a storm or a, leopard, whatever they are, that's what school they'll still belong to, and they will graduate from that class.
And I would just add, this is true for every level, that you still have your home school, even if you're signed up for the 100% virtual. And I think it's important that we also point out that if you filled out the 100% virtual form, you still need to register for your home school. The form doesn't take care of that. And so make sure that you've registered for your home school in addition to completing that 100% virtual form. All right, next question. I have a specific question in regards to a course being offered. Is there an ASL course offered for secondary virtual? No.
Unfortunately not. And that's really disappointing. I don't know, many of you know this is our first year to offer ASL at Rio Rancho. And there were over 130 students, I think, that have signed up for that class. Really exciting and really excited about that opportunity, but it does not exist as a match at Cyber or through Edgenuity.
All right. I have spotty internet. Will internet service be provided? I can go ahead and answer this. Please be sure to check your email. We sent out some information this afternoon. It includes an application to sign up for internet service if that is something that you need. So be sure and check your email. And if you did not receive that, please contact us and let us know. You can email us at RRPS reentryplans@rrps.net, and we can help you with that. All right. What will online schedules look like? And are the groups based on last names?
I can take that. Online schedules will basically be a list of classes, and there's no reason to base them by last names because you are, taking the Edgenuity class. So really, if you choose to do, like Heidi said earlier, some extra time, you have a difficult time in science or whatever course, and you want to spend 2 hours on that course on Monday, and you get to the point that you need to be, you're really on your own. It's a self-paced course. So you'll just get a list of your courses that you need to complete. And Heidi, if you need to add anything to that, feel free to.
Yeah. The only thing I would jump in with, thank you, Renee, you did a great job, in the fact that, say that Algebra 2, my go-to little explanation class, say that teacher knows that, all right, everybody needs extra help. So she may come across and say, every Tuesday and every Thursday from 12 to 1, we're logging in at this time. And as long as it's not a conflict with any other AP biology teacher saying that or something else, that may be something that they do. The student also has the right to reach out to the teacher and say, hey, I need a Google Meet. I need some help, okay? But there may be times that the kid can just keep moving through. I want to make something clear. It's real easy, and I know my icon even said, instead of my face, it had Cyber Academy. Cyber Academy we were the place that started this. We use Edgenuity, and from that, we're pushing it out. It gives us the foundation, and then it goes out. So please try not to get confused that then your kid is now going to Cyber Academy or anything like that. And so we're trying to make that clear. You'll remain a RAM, you'll remain a STORM, you'll graduate from there. Your graduation requirements are still there. And so that kind of stuff. Another thing I wanted to point out, and I know it's real hard, think about it. If you're in the hybrid, but yet you hear the governor say, okay, everybody has to go virtual, think that, no, I'm still in the hybrid, but I am 100% remote at home until I'm supposed to come back to school. That doesn't mean that time you're switching to Edgenuity and then going back, because that throwing everybody back into the virtual can be confusing. And so, even our language as educators, we want to make sure we're trying not to add any more confusion into that. But up until Labor Day, you will be at home 100%, but you will be defaulting to the hybrid unless you're choosing the 100% virtual through the registration process.
So could I add something to that? Another way of thinking about it is that no matter where you're doing your instruction, if you're 100% online, if that's your selection, you're doing Edgenuity. And then if you're in the hybrid, you're using Google Classroom, so that no matter whether the governor says go to school or stay home, you stay with those two programs. I think that made it clear for me when I thought about it.
Right, for 612.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. How much live interaction will the teachers and students have on a daily basis?
I can start out with an answer and then y'all can jump in at any time. At the elementary level, that's really going to be dependent on the grade level. We know that young children, asking them to attend to long periods of direct instruction through a computer is very difficult. And we don't want to lose their attention. We want to make sure their lessons are powerful, that the children are able to participate. And so that might look like shorter chunks of time throughout the day. And so that's why it's going to be really important. Like I said, we're going to have, for our 100% virtual, you'll have a week at a glance that's going to be posted. at the beginning of the week, so that you can really look at what the week is going to look like, when are those live meets going to be offered, and for how long. And then if students need additional time, that's when teachers can reach out to parents and say, I'm going to pull together a little group for tutoring. I need to either do some remediation or I need to enrich, and then you might have additional opportunities. So that's really how the elementary is going to look.
I think I've kind of touched on it for the 6-12, but it is that typical, it depends, but it really would look different for the AP biology class. That teacher would probably require much more engagement, similar to what we're doing tonight, versus our strategies for success, or a world history or something that tends to lend itself to be more student driven, that a student can make a lot of progress without a teacher intervention. Never does this platform or this computer ever replace the teacher. The win-win, if I was a student, and I can't promote this enough, is to make sure you're blending the two together. Bring in the teacher as much as you can, and the teacher too will be blending themselves in as much as they can with the Edgenuity selection with the virtual.
Thank you. What will art, music, PE, and library be like for elementary?
Go ahead.
You want to take it, Kurt? I think this is, these are those little nuances, those details that we're still working out, and every campus looks a little bit different. But Kurt, if you would like to explain a little bit further.
Yes, we, at least with the art and music at the elementary level, there are a lot of considerations that we need to take in. A lot of things we need to consider. Part of it is just the activities, like singing in the classroom poses some problems. And there are some preliminary studies that have come out showing transmission rates and droplets and things like that. So we only have preliminary information right now. We're trying to sift through that. We've got discussion groups and task forces looking at that. So we do not yet know what that's going to look like at the elementary level. I think we can pretty confidently say it will happen. What it looks like, we don't know yet. And in fact, Ms. Morales and I are sitting down with some elementary teachers next week to discuss that very topic.
And PE, we'll have small enough classes, and we have a lot of outdoor space. So there will be places that we can have PE. And even if it's in the gym, if it's a smaller group of kiddos, they should be able to still have that activity. Obviously, if that's virtual, it's very different. So what I've seen happen is PE teachers kind of get on and do some Google Classrooms and do exercises with kids, or teaching them. One of the things, the counselors working with PE teachers to teach kids, coping strategies for the situation, and bringing in some of those social emotional components together, working together and talking about how physical health helps mental health, and partnering up and doing lessons that they can share with families that kids can see. We will, we have teachers that are interested in teaching related arts online for elementary. So we will have that option, and we will support them in coming up with some lessons so that we can still have those.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, this looks like it's elementary. Your slide cited 5 to 6 hours of support needed per day. Are you saying that parents will be expected to provide this much support to the student while they are working virtually?
So as stated a couple of times, it depends on the age of the child. So the younger the child, the more support they're going to need from the parent. And of course, by the time we get to 4th and 5th graders, we would hope that we've been able to work in partnership with the parents to develop some really strong independence with our 4th and 5th graders. But for instance, a kindergartner absolutely is going to need a great deal of support. And so that is one of the things when you choose the 100% virtual model, is the parent does become responsible for that full day of instruction. So again, that child, if they were face to face with us, if we all had our way, we would have all of our students on campus every day, face to face, and you're looking at a 7-hour day. So there's a lot that goes on in that 7-hour day. Oftentimes what happens when you're working one-on-one with your own child is, you can move a little bit faster through some of these materials as well. So it may not take a full 5 hours. But at the end of the day, it's really important to know, if you choose this model, that the teachers will provide as much as they possibly can to support you, but you're the one who has control over what's going on at home. So at the end of the day, it is up to the parent to determine how much time your child needs to engage in these activities, to engage with the teacher in order to be successful with their learning. Especially because by the time they come back to us the following year or halfway through the year, we want to make sure they're on track with their peers as much as possible. And so on average, if you look at, we've done a lot of research with looking into online programs, and 5 to 6 hours is typically what it takes for a student to be successful. Again, it's not 5 hours staring at a computer screen. And we really encourage you to build schedules, to build in breaks, to find opportunities where kids can work independently, because we know parents have busy lives too. But at the end of the day, this is school. Children still need to log on every day, and it on average can take 5 to 6 hours.
Thank you. Next question. Will the same teachers who are teaching virtual also be the teachers teaching face-to-face?
No, there'll be teachers that are teaching Edgenuity or the K-5 virtual. There'll be teachers teaching the hybrid. Separate.
Thank you. All right, next question. Can each parent get their own access to Edgenuity, or is it only available to one parent?
Multiple grandparents, whoever needs it, whoever wants it. In the past, we've had like counselors have it. So I don't want to say it's unlimited because it may be limited, but I've had, I think, up to 10 different emails registered to a student account. If you happen to have more than one student, one child, like say a 7th grader, a 10th, and a senior, you can all one log in would access all of that. And then the instruction would have all of that too. So.
Thank you. Will K-5 have opportunities to interact with their classmates virtually?
Yes, they will. That's one of the reasons why we really encourage families to have their children get online during the live sessions with teachers. We're really wanting to make it look like school as much as we possibly can. So meeting with teachers, and with those sessions, they will also be meeting with their peers. Teachers will have opportunities for peers to engage with each other during that time as well.
Thank you. Next question. If a child cannot sign on at the teacher scheduled time, but signs on at a later time, will they be marked absent?
No. Really maybe I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joy, but the goal is for them to get that lesson. We would just ask for parents to communicate. If they're not going to be able to log on, just communicate with the teacher, let them know that you're going to be watching the lesson at a different time because we're going to be recording the lessons, but we know things come up and we don't want parents to feel like they're being punished. If there are consistent concerns about logging on, then again, that's a conversation the parent and the teacher need to have to figure out how we're going to make it work and provide some support.
And with secondary, Edgenuity shows how the number of minutes that a student has been active. So there's not going to be a daily attendance.
Thank you. Okay, how do we pick Edgenuity classes? Will someone help pick the correct math classes since there isn't advanced classes for middle school?
Let me answer that. And Luana, this question was asked of me, or you asked it of me, and I did reach out to our math teacher, and she sent me the proof that she could, she definitely can do what is required, meet like the 6th grade standards plus half a 7th grade math to do the advanced math. So there's not a problem with that. If the kid is even more enriched that we need to do, you know, as an 8th grader, they truly are algebra 1 instead of pre-algebra, even though, remember, this is hard, we will support that. So we can help you choose which math there is with that. There may be times that it's best to do like a little formative or little assessment, which I can do inside Edgenuity to be able to see where they're at. If you're willing to do that and certain of going, hey, I'm not sure exactly, am I at 7th grade or 8th grade? If you're coming in new to the district, limited information, we want a preponderance of data points to be able to help place the student properly. But we will do that. Other classes within Edgenuity, we're really trying to, we use the Rio Rancho Public School curriculum map to match it as closely as we can. It will not be exact, guys. We can't do that. It won't be perfect. But if I can state, if you do choose Edgenuity, say for English 9 and all your 9th grade classes or whatever classes, you will be prepared to go into semester 2 if you so choose to go back to school with the hybrid model or to stay with Edgenuity. So that's our goal. We want to make things as seamless, and we want to be, you know, a team of curriculum providers for what we do with our students.
Thank you. Renee, is this available for Independence High School students?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, Independence High School already uses it in some areas. So it's most definitely available for Independence High School. And I was speaking with them this morning, and they actually want to make sure and keep their students will have their teachers. That's not something we can guarantee in the larger comprehensive high schools, but I feel very comfortable saying that the students at Independence who choose to go virtual on Edgenuity will have their teachers.
Thank you. Okay, next question, and this will be our last question. Will students receive virtual instruction from an interventionist if needed?
Yes. Like I stated earlier about the student support plans that we do in elementary school. So if a child needs to have some extra support, we definitely still have our interventionists at our elementary schools.
Thank you. So I want to remind everyone how you sign up if you have not signed up for the 100% virtual. And if you're interested in signing up for the 100% virtual, the form is available on our website. If you go to our re-entry plan portion of our website for the updates, there will be a link there with the form that you can sign up on. As a reminder, you still need to register with your home school. So we'll be sending out information on registration for those schools who have not done that yet. Is there anything that any of you would like to add before we close?
I would say from elementary and talking to the elementary principals, they just want their families to know that if you choose 100% online, they want you to stay connected with the school. It's very important to them that their students are connected, and they understand parents obviously making that choice, but they miss their kids. And so you are going to be part of the school and part of the communication for the entire year.
And that was beautifully said, Jana, and I would completely agree with that for secondary.
Great. And we will, this presentation has been recorded. We'll provide the link on our website if you need to go back and watch the slides again, or if you want to hear the questions again, that will be provided. Or if there's a parent you know who missed it, who's interested, you're more than welcome to share the link. Once again, if you did not get your question answered this evening, please email us at rrpsreentryplans@rrps.net. And again, I want to thank our presenters and our panel, Heidi, Joy, Luana, Jana, Renee, and Kurt. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Please join us on Thursday evening for our next Parent University class. We'll be talking about the safety measures that we're putting in place for the new year. So we'll have Sal Maniaci, who is our Executive Director of Safety and Security, along with Melanie Archibek, who is our Executive Director of Facilities. They'll both be available to present on Thursday evening at 5:30. Thank you all again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy your evening. Goodbye.